Today on Cooking with a Lion, we're making a delicious seafood dish using only the freshest of seafood from the freezer section. And it's all happening right now. Let's get started. One of my favorite seafood dishes is ceviche, the classic Peruvian dish, the way of preparing fresh seafood with some salt, a lot of lime juice, maybe a little bit of chili as well. I'm sure you've had it, maybe on vacation at the beach. But one of the things that people always ask me as far as preparing ceviche at home is they're concerned about safety. Today's dish, you don't have to worry about that because we are poaching shrimp. We are practically cooking it already, and that removes all safety issues. So which shrimp do you get? When you go to the grocery store, there's frozen shrimp, you'll find in the frozen section, and there's also in the fresh seafood display that already deveined shrimp that looks so beautiful. I recommend you pass up that beautiful, already deveined, thawed shrimp, because who knows how long it's been sitting there. Was it from yesterday, the day before, the day before? I don't want to worry about that. I want the freshest, most delicious shrimp I can find, and that is in the freezer section. So what I do is I get frozen shell-on shrimp, put it in my refrigerator overnight, and then it slowly thaws. That gives the best integrity. Once it's thawed, then I'll devein it, take the shell off, and then you've got this beautiful shrimp that's ready to go. So what I've done so far is I've taken 4 cups of heavily salted water, and I have brought that to a boil. Once it's to a boil, I'll turn it off and then add the prepared shrimp, give it a quick stir, and stir it occasionally for about 90 seconds, and that's all it takes. I'll drain that, put that into ice water in order to shock it, and once it's cool, remove 3 shrimp for later on. I'll talk about that in a bit. And then once it's drained, chop it pretty finely, not into mush, but pretty finely. And this is what I want it to look like. Transfer that into a bowl, and that's where we are right now. The 3 shrimp that I pull off to the side, they go inside your blender. We're gonna pulverize this up with some other ingredients. What other ingredients? Well, talked about that acid. I have some lime juice, and I also have some lemon juice. That goes in, right? Because, I mean, it's a ceviche. You've got all that wonderful acidity and a little bit of heat. And the heat comes in with some serrano that I've taken the veins and most of the seeds out. If you like the heat, you can add some back in. Also 2 garlic cloves and some salt. That goes in, right? Now, what I want to do is blend this on pretty high speed until it's pulverized, liquefied. And the reason for that is the meat or the flesh from the shrimp along with the other ingredients will actually make sort of like a smooth, very thin paste. And that's what homogenizes all this together, because otherwise it would separate like a salsa. You go like that, right? You have the liquid and the heavier things, but when we make this beautiful, like acidic, lovely, heated shrimp paste, once I added them with the rest of the ingredients, it doesn't separate. So every bite you get has all of those delicious flavors. So I'm gonna blend this until it's nice and smooth. Okay, nice and smooth. But I do want to add a little bit of olive oil. And I don't want to add the olive oil in the beginning because it'll start to oxidize and the flavor gets a little bitter. So what we'll do is we'll add a couple tablespoons of olive oil. That helps all the flavors come together, and that fat is like fruity, it's lovely. But we don't want to blitz it on high, we actually want to do it on low, just to where the whole thing pulls together. That's it. That's all it takes. It's actually very simple. I'm going to pour this over top of the shrimp. I'm going to give this a quick stir so that all the shrimp is enveloped in all of that flavor and acid and olive oil and garlic and heat. Then I'm going to add some other flavors to this. I'm going to add some tomato, which brings, of course, fruitiness and also a little bit of acidity. The tomato goes in. And also some red onion. Now, raw red onion can be a little harsh, but this is going to be sitting in this lovely bath, this wonderful acidic bath, which for onions, they love the stuff. I'm going to stir this together, and that heat from the onion will dissipate over the half an hour that's going to be sitting in the fridge. So once this is stirred together really nicely, pop it into the fridge for a half an hour, and then after that, it's time to serve. Our 30 minutes are up, and it looks really great. What ends up happening is that the lime juice, the lemon juice, denatures the protein, the shrimp, and it makes it nice and firm. Gives it a lovely spongy texture. You may have heard when people make ceviche and they say the lime juice or lemon juice cooks it, that's what they mean by that. It makes it a little bit firmer, and it makes serving it just that much more beautiful. It's so pretty. But now what do you do? Well, I like to add a couple more things. I like to add some fresh avocado. Makes it feel like I'm on vacation. A little bit of avocado. Add some creaminess to the dish. Cilantro, something nice. Keeps it fresh, a little bit of herbaceousness. And there we go. Now, one thing to note is ceviche is meant to be served fresh. You don't want to let it sit for a couple hours. Half an hour seems to be perfect, or else it denatures so far that you end up pickling the seafood, and nobody wants that. You could serve it just like this, but chips are my thing, so grab yourself a nice chip, your favorite chip, and then we'll serve it up. Make sure you get a little bit of everything on there. A little bit of avocado, cilantro, some of that ceviche. Here we go. This makes my heart sing. I always want to giggle because it's so fresh and it's so good. The crunch of the chip is on this side, and you have this sort of creamy richness of the avocado on this side, and everything in between is just like so darn good. The acid, of course, comes through, but it's very chill. You know, it's not like squeezing a fresh lime or lemon in your mouth, because it's been doing some work the last half an hour. It's been denaturing that shrimp, which makes the shrimp kind of spongy and lovely and sweet. Not overly shrimpy, but it is sweet and subtle, all right? Then you have, of course, the cilantro, herbaceousness, which is really nice. The acid from the lemon and lime has really chilled out that red onion. So now you get a little bit of heat, but some crunch, like that fresh crunchiness to fresh onion as well. But then the heat that rounds around, you're like, what is that? It's the serrano, remember that? We put that in there with a couple extra little seeds. And then the tomato, which makes it seem nice and fresh. It brings like a sweetness to it. It brings like almost a floral quality with that lime juice and lemon juice. I never get tired of this dish. And in fact, when you make this at home, you'll realize that you can make delicious, fresh, restaurant quality ceviche any day of the week. Enjoy. Cheers.